A visit to Alcatraz began by taking a ferry operated by Alcatraz City Cruises LC from Pier 33, which is located southeast of Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco. The ferry ride took approximately 12 to 15 minutes. Regularly, boats are loaded on a first-come, first-served basis. Boats depart every 30 minutes from the island going to the mainland, so you can take any boat schedule that you like within that day. You can sit anywhere in the boat except those restricted areas, and I prefer to be on the top deck to see the view 360 degrees. The catch is it's still windy, so I took the lower deck going back to the mainland, also to disembark faster. On the way to Alcatraz, you can see the great view of the downtown San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge, and the island of Alcatraz itself. Upon arrival, you're gonna have to listen to a short orientation before you start the tour, which I did, and I bought a guidebook for $1 price.
Happened a couple years ago. Everybody at the dock was very excited about it. But now that we're all here, we're going to go over some quick stuff. If I can get you all to turn your attention to the building directly behind you.
Upon entry, this structure caught my attention, which is the remains of the Officers Club destroyed in a fire. Built in 1910 as a recreation area when Alcatraz was built, which had a dance floor, bowling alley, and a gym. First goal was to get into the Soul House for the Woody tour. Hello guys, I'm now getting into the entrance of the main prison for the Woody tour. The Cell House Audit Tour started with an introduction of 4 former officers and 4 inmates who brought history alive through their actual voices, who lived on the island during the infamous federal penitentiary era. The Alcatraz used to have a library for inmates. A lot of these men read serious literature. In the shelves were words of incarcerated men and what books were so important to them. I got inside of the solitary confinement cell, and it was just so horrible. Man was never intended to live as a caged animal, said Jim Killian, a former inmate. The most creative escape attempt in history of Alcatraz happened in June 11, 1962, where inmates Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence England used the unlikeliest of supplies to initiate the escape, placing dummy heads made of soap, cement, and paint under their blankets in the middle of the night. According to the day watch lieutenant, they crawled out of their cells through small vents, scaled the utility corridor to the roof, slipped down a stovepipe, and crept to the shoreline. They reached the bay, slipped into the water, and met an icy current rapidly ebbing out to sea. They were never seen again after that. Yet I continued roaming around and saw this recreation area where inmates played baseball, the visitation area, in the guard tower, which was the last line for guards to secure the island. I also came across this very depressing area, the morgue, where they stored the deceased prisoner overnight until a ferry could take the body to mainland the following day. Before ending my tour, I dropped by other Times Square where you can find the dining hall and saw this menu served to the inmates way back in 1963, March 31st. The cell house tour was truly fascinating. I could say the greatest tour I've ever done in my whole life. It offered valuable insights of the daily life of the prisoners and guards. Listening to the story through that little traditional equipment was like I was just right there with the prisoners, hearing their struggles, the agony, and their stories, their cry while walking through cell blocks, looking all four corners of the tiny cell behind bars, were so depressing, making me somehow emotional. This whole thing just moved me, and hearing the stories of escape attempts added to the fascination of my visit. This whole tour is worth remembering.